Welcome to Looking at Legal Stuff. Today we have 3 hearings in a case with a couple who are having a bench trial to resolve their child custody and tax exemption issues. Mom claims Dad is unreliable and inconsistent and doesn't pay his child support properly. But Dad says everything was fine between them up until he started dating his new girlfriend, and then that's when the problems with Mom started. He seems to think that Mom is just jealous of him and his new relationship. He says Mom won't allow him to have the child if his girlfriend is around, and that's the only reason he's been inconsistent. Dad also wants to share the tax exemption and the legal decision-making, but Mom wants to keep the decision-making solely with her. What does the judge think of Dad's claims? Let's find out.
This is the case number 21369-08, Lowry and Schmidt. Looks like I have Mr. Schmidt is present and Ms. Bliss is here and State of Washington is present. Are we expecting anybody else?
No, Your Honor, my client is in my conference room with me this morning. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, so we're not on our normal camera, we're on a laptop, so I'll just have to play musical laptops this morning.
All right. So I had this is on for a trial with regards to parenting plans and child support. So I read through the trial aid, at least just going to browse through that. I have not looked at everything in here. I guess my question is where are we with regards to, it sounds like there was at least at one point some sort of agreement. Are we not there? Mr.
I think we're back there, Judge. I did have the opportunity to speak with Mr. Schmidt a few times this week, as late as this morning, about 20 minutes ago. And from my understanding of our discussions, and I'll obviously let him speak for himself, but the sole issues that remain are my client's obviously asking for sole decision-making. He wants joint decision-making. There's an issue with regard to the tax exemption and the issue of attorney's fees. And it's my understanding that those are the sole issues before the court today. We had spoken previously about stipulating to the exhibits being admitted. I kind of explained to him what that entails. He's agreed, and again, I'll let him speak for himself, but he has agreed to stipulate to the admission of my 11 exhibits as well, given that those are the sole issues before the court today.
All right, Mr. Schmidt, I see you have your hand up. Good morning.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to figure out how to get this. I didn't understand how to do this, so I just didn't want to miss this. I was just pushing every button I could to try to get on.
Nope, you're right where you need to be. We started a couple of minutes late. I had another matter going this morning.
Okay.
So you're right where you need. We haven't started anything at this point. Were you able to hear comments Ms. Bliss just made?
Yeah, the last few, yes, I was.
Okay. So, well, it's my understanding then that the proposed paperwork that I have today, you generally agreed with most of that. There's an issue about joint or sole decision-making, an issue about the tax exemption and how to handle that, and about attorney's fees. Is that accurate?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Everything else you're comfortable with?
Yes.
Okay. And if I understand right, it sounds like you were initially represented, I believe, by Ms. Blondin. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And did she work with you on a lot of this stuff? So you had a chance to get some advice on this?
Yeah, some. And then I was supposed to talk to her when I got back from work, but then that's when she told me that she can't practice anymore. So I didn't really get to talk to her about anything else that was going on.
Okay. And
And I do see the state is involved. I'm imagining it's for healthcare coverage, and I have included language that Ms. Bull, formerly known as Lowry, is to keep the child on public healthcare coverage.
right.
Your Honor, I have reviewed Ms. Bliss's proposed child support worksheets in order, and it does contain the language that the state was requesting. So I'm in agreement with that.
All right. So as far as that, are you comfortable with me putting on agreed via Zoom on these orders?
Yes.
On your behalf? Okay. And did you have any other issues that you were interested in this morning on this case?
Nope, that was all. With the court's permission, I'd like to be excused from the duration of the trial.
All right, so you are excused. I put your indication on there on the last page of the support order. And then we'll talk about the other three issues.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Just so the child support order sounds like it is agreed then, as said, everything else fits either in the parenting plan.
With the exception of the tax exemption in section 19. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that first.
Okay.
Let me take a look here.
And I guess I would defer as to how Your Honor would like to proceed. Obviously, like I said, I have my client present. I'm more than comfortable putting on some brief testimony, or obviously you did have the opportunity to review my trial aid that did contain a lot of our position as to the tax exemption as well. So I'll defer to the court as to how you want to proceed with that.
Okay, I guess, well, let me just, I mean, I did look through those. I guess my question is what is the position that you've each got on there and the reason for that? That's probably all I really need to know. I don't know that I need testimony.
Okay.
I just an argument as to what that position is.
Absolutely. It's my client's request today that Your Honor award her the tax exemption every year. If Your Honor had the opportunity to review the trial aid and the proposed orders, my client does have the child the majority of the time. Mr. Schmidt's time previously was about 48 hours twice a month. Just whenever he decided to tell my client that he wanted to exercise time consistent with what he has indicated previously is a difficult work schedule, that resulted oftentimes with minimal visits, if any visits. Now, under the current parenting plan, we are asking for an every other weekend type schedule, which he has now agreed to. So the hope is that he will be more consistent. My client's position is that she should be awarded the tax exemption every year. However, she has agreed to every other year, so long as he is consistent with visitation and consistent with his child support arrears.
All right. And Mr. Schmidt, what is your position on that?
Yeah, if I could say, a lot of the times that I tried to pick my son up, his mom would not let me, because of the girl that I'm seeing. So she is saying that I was not wanting to do it, and I was trying to be more consistent and trying to get him more. But with her, it was I needed to get rid of my girlfriend if I wanted to see him more. So that's the reason it was inconsistent. On that part of her saying that I wasn't watching him that often, because I was trying to, before me and the girl that I'm with now got together, I had my son all the time. Like I'd get off work. I mean, I'd come home from work and I'd call her and pick him up that day, and I'd have him for 3 or 4 days and then give him back. And I was doing that consistently until me and this girl got together, and she said she didn't want my son anywhere near him. So every time I would say, hey, I'm home, can I get him this weekend? Her response would be, is your girlfriend going to be there? And I'm like, well, yeah, she's going to be here. Well, then you can't see him. Like, she needs to not be around if my son's going to be around you. So that's why it was inconsistent. And I think if I'm caught up on my child support, and I'm always paying child support, and my son's on my medical and everything. So I want to, because the last 4 years she's claimed him. So I want the next 4 years, and then after that, we can rotate, or even 3 years. If I claim the next 3 years, then we can alternate. I don't mind alternating, but it's just the last 4 years she's claimed him.
Okay. All right. Excuse me.
And can I add something again? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, sure. Go ahead. This is just on
and,
for the tax.
And as of like her saying that I never paid anything, I was paying her child support. I was giving her, we agreed on a certain amount, but every time I went to pay her, she wanted more. And then I would give her a little bit more. And then the next time I'd go give her some more money, she'd call me and tell me that she needs more money the next time. So it was never a consistent, like what we agreed on. And then I was still doing it. And then she'd tell me he needs school clothes. Okay, so I went and bought him school clothes, dropped them off with her. And then she would call me again and say, well, now we need groceries. So, okay, well, I mean, and then she's like, her electricity bill is due, or her car payment is due. So it was constantly like, I need to pay more and more and more every single time. But I was paying her money. I mean, I was giving her money, and I was paying for extra like school programs, or if she needed school supplies or something, I was trying to help her pay that. But it was constantly, I need more money. I need my rent's due and all this stuff. So that's why it didn't work out with that.
Was there a prior order of child support?
No, this was something me and her agreed on when we first split up. That I said, he's my son, and if you need help, I will help you, and I will give you some money. This was something me and her just came up together. But then all this changed as soon as me and this girl got together. Everything changed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
there is a temporary.
I wish I would have.
But let me
Sorry.
let Ms. Bliss for a second.
I was going to say, Your Honor, there was a temporary order of child support entered in this matter back, and I don't have the pleadings in front of me. I was trying to pull it up on Odyssey real quick, but I want to say
July of 21, it looks like.
sounds about right.
Yeah. And so I guess my question prior to that, what was happening? I mean, it sounds like you spent some money, but what
Prior to your to the court's order?
Mhm.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's what it was. I was picking my son up when I was in town, and then when she needed money, I would send money. If I was out of town and she'd call me, I would send money to my nephew, and my nephew would give her the money because she'd say, I need groceries, or like his clothes, he needs new clothes, or when school started, needs school supplies. I always paid for the school supplies. I paid for his clothes and stuff like that. And then, like I said, it got to where she was like, my car payment's due. And as I told her, it's not my responsibility to pay car payment. And her status was, well, Mason has to be driven places. He has to live under a house, so you have to pay all these things. And I felt like I was giving her like $350, $400, and then she'd ask for more.
Okay.
But then, like I said, once I got with the girl I'm with right now, like everything changed. She told me that I either get rid of her and don't be with her anymore, or she's gonna destroy my life. And that's when everything started going bad. And then she took me to court. But I was trying to be as consistent as I could with my son and picking him up as much as I could. And it wasn't this 48-hour notice thing. So I got to spend more time with him, because sometimes I'm only home for 3 or 4 days. So now I would keep him those 3 or 4 days. But now I have to give 48-hour notice. And then I only get him for 2 days if I go back out of town.
Okay. All right. Well, my normal ruling, which in this case seems like it sort of fits within these parameters on that issue alone, it looks like at least you're imputed or at similar incomes. Currently, there's not a lot of impact on the exemption in the federal tax law. However, there are some things that come out of that. Generally, what I do on these is I alternate back and forth. And I don't necessarily, I mean, I look back, but that's not the deciding factor. It would seem to me that if she's been claiming up to now that for this year, which would be 23, so each odd year starting this year, has everybody done their taxes for this year, I assume?
My client hasn't completed her taxes yet. No, she wanted to wait until today's outcome.
Okay. And to your knowledge, is he current on his support for 2022 or 2022?
Yes, Your Honor, he is current.
Okay. Well, why don't we do this? I guess I'm inclined to alternate, and I'll do it in even years starting for 22. So Mr. Schmidt, you would claim the child on your taxes for this year, the ones that you're just about to file if you haven't done that. You may need to end if you already have. I don't know if there's going to be any great impact on your taxes because the tax laws are kind of strange right now, but I'll grant that to you each even numbered year. So when you file in an odd year, you're filing for the even year.
Okay.
So filing your 2022 taxes, you would get to claim him. That is so long as you're current in your support by the end of January for the year. And I do, because if you're paying through support enforcement, sometimes it takes a few weeks for that credit to show up on them so that we have evidence of that. So I think what I'm going to ask Ms. Bliss, I'm going to ask you, because this is really tight in here and I don't want to scribble this up too badly, would you be able to submit an updated child support order that includes that language?
I can, yes.
Okay, and that doesn't need if nothing else changes, that can just simply indicate that Ms. Powers agreed electron or via Zoom.
Okay.
And that with that change, then I'll sign that order when I see that.
Very good.
Okay, and I have signed the worksheet that is appropriate already, so I've signed that.
I can send that over today.
Great. Okay, so let's talk about the other matters, which is the decision-making and fees. Let's talk about decision-making first.
And are you wanting just argument on that as well, or would you like some testimony from my client? I think it's pretty basic. I mean,
Yeah,
what
I
I
think
have her testify.
Yeah, I think I read through your declaration or your trial age. So I think probably I can just share your argument. I can hear from Mr. Schmidt and probably make a decision.
Very good. So, Your Honor, we do have an 11-year-old child, Mason. Throughout Mason's life, my client has been the primary parent of Mason, has made the doctor's appointments, the dentist appointments, has made the decisions with regard to vaccines, with regard to any sort of necessary medical treatments, braces, and the like. My client is simply asking to just continue that moving forward. She's not asking to essentially exclude Mr. Schmidt. She's just asking the court to not order that she consult him prior to making those decisions. Given that the history between the parties, the findings that are included in the parenting plan, I do believe that it's appropriate at this time that she have sole decision making, and so that's what we're requesting at this time.
Thank you. I apologize. I got a bit of a throat thing going here this morning. Mr. Schmidt, what's your thought on the decision-making issue?
I want it to be both of us. We consult each other, and that is not accurate. What she's saying, I took my son to a lot of appointments, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments. I took him to a lot of them. Some of them I was out of town, and I would call her right away and be like, "Hey, what happened? What was the outcome?" And so it's not like I wasn't concerned, but I took him to a lot of appointments because before I used to be a part-time employee. So I was out of town for a little bit, and then I was home for 3 or 4 weeks. And then sometimes when she was at work, she'd be like, "I can't make appointments on these days. Can you take him these days?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm home, so I'll be able to take him." So it wasn't just her every single time. Sometimes when I was out of town, yeah, she did have to take him to appointments, but it wasn't just her. I tried to participate in, and sometimes I even took time off work, and I was like, "We both need to be at this appointment." And for my son, so I'm not going to be able to make it to work. So I just feel like on that we should both. And then when my son got hurt not too long ago, I called her and let her know he was with me. I don't feel like I had to tell her, but the fact that he's both of our son, like I feel like she needs to know that what happened to him. I don't feel like it should have just been like, "Oh, you'll find out when you find out." So I called her immediately and said, "Meet me at the hospital." That he's going to the hospital. So I feel like we both should be included in that.
Okay. These are kind of difficult ones, and part of the problem in this is there are some factors that I'm not able to not take into account, which has to do with there is some prior history between you two, which places some legal limits that I need to follow. And that has to do with and I know these are old, and it sounds like you two have moved past a lot of these things, which is good to hear. But the old protection orders and things, those impact what I'm able to do. I think I'm compelled under state law to leave it sole on the school and educational and on the healthcare non-emergency. That means that if child's with either of you and something happens, you got to take them to the hospital, you take them to the hospital. You don't need to get the other parent's permission to do that. What I don't see in here, which I would like to see, would be some language indicating that each party would advise the other party of any emergency healthcare, health treatment, or that sort of thing as soon as feasible, which is quickly. It may not be immediate, but as soon as feasible. And I think that goes both ways, because obviously you both need to know that. The other piece I think I'd like to add in there would be that if there is a decision being made that requires a financial impact, that would be something they should consult on. So that's kind of the limits of what I can do, sir. And I think those are those are things that impact you directly. So if that would be things like braces. The braces typically cost a whole bunch of money, and that you would have input into that decision.
So
the paper part.
so I wouldn't have any input on vaccines or any of that kind of stuff, because I really am like, I don't believe in any of those.
On the basic healthcare stuff, that I am pretty much required under state law to leave that with the custodial parent when there's a case where there's a history of domestic violence. And again, it sounds like you two have moved past that, and that's good to hear. But there are limits that roll from that I'm not able to really overcome. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to give you updates as quickly as possible on any kind of critical procedure. And then anything that impacts you financially would be, you'd have input on that.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, if you'd like, I can submit the parenting plan and maybe just put some asterisks underneath that section 5. Okay, I can do that.
I think it'd be cleaner if we did that.
Absolutely.
Leave everything else the same there. Then the other issue is fees. I think there was the request, if I read it right, was it 5,000?
That's correct.
Any comments on that if you'd like to make?
And Your Honor, I think that my trial aid speaks largely for itself, but as Your Honor is aware, at least from the court record, this matter was set to go back in the fall. Ms. Blondin was counsel for Mr. Schmidt at that point. We had reached an agreement, struck the trial pursuant to that agreement, had several court hearings thereafter, simply trying to present those final orders. Unfortunately, as the court is aware, Ms. Blondin is no longer allowed to practice law, so those orders were never entered. Even after that, I still attempted with Mr. Schmidt to submit those orders. He simply stated he did not agree. I understand he's without counsel and he doesn't know as much as, obviously those of us who practice. However, we're before the court today on the exact same issues that we had at the last trial. Ms. Blondin and I had resolved the entirety of all of the other issues, with the exception of the decision-making, the attorney's fees and the tax exemption. So my client has expelled significant attorney's fees from the point of the last trial, being prepared to go, striking it on the eve of trial, and then being back before the court today on very minimal issues. He does make, the parties do make similar incomes. I do recognize that. However, he's been without an attorney for over 4 months now, while my client has expelled significant attorney's fees just trying to get this case wrapped up.
And Mr. Schmidt, your position on that?
I feel like I was paying for my lawyer. I didn't ask her to pay for anything. And I was also accruing lawyer fees, and I was paying child support. I was current with everything. So I feel like if the debt that I incur is for me to take care of, and I feel like hers is for her to take care of. And she's got a husband, her and her husband both work. I pay for everything here by myself. And I just, like I said, I feel like that's like, how can I pay for her to sue me? I don't understand how that's like how that is, because like even if I had $10,000 or this kept going and I had $15,000, I would be responsible for my $15,000 or however much I incur. I would never ask for her to pay my bills just because we're not agreeing. And I've agreed with a lot of the stuff she's wanted, and I'm said that's fine, I'll do that, I'll put him on my insurance, I'll do whatever else you're asking. And it's like everything I asked for is a no. Like, I'm not doing that, this is not going to happen. It's just the only things I'm getting put on me is I'm paying for everything. But if I make a decision on something like, hey, I would like to be able to be more a part of this, it's a no. But it's like, well, he's paying for this. Okay, yeah, that's fine. He can pay for this or he can pay for that. But when it comes to anything else, she didn't want to budge, or we would have had this done a long time ago. It's just like, it's just a take and no give. If that on my position, that's how I feel about it.
Okay, thank you, sir. So just, if I understand correctly, this was set for trial and then it was stricken because of Ms. Blondin's situation?
No, Your Honor, the parties had reached, at least from my discussions with Ms. Blondin, we'd reached an agreement. So we'd struck final because we were going to do final orders.
Understood.
And can I say something about that?
Sure.
Yeah, I never agreed to anything with her. I told her when Andrew was my lawyer, I was in Seattle and I talked to her and she said, I need you to be here as soon as possible. And then I left Seattle because that was my last day of work. And then I called her and tried to set up a meeting. And then she told me she can't practice anymore. And then she said she needed me to sign these final things. And I was like, I never agreed to any of this. And she said, unfortunately, I can't help you anymore because I can't practice. But I need you to sign these paperwork. And I said, I never agreed to any of this. And me and you were supposed to have a meeting about this.
Okay. All right. Well, and I will make an assumption that you paid Ms. Blondin some amount of money, obviously, for her representation up until she was not doing that.
Yes, I did.
Well, simply looking at the incomes here, you folks have similar incomes. You both have actually, fortunately, better incomes than most of the folks that we tend to see in court. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean you have a lot of money. It just means you're better off than most of the folks that I see come in here. Both of you are. These cases, unfortunately, end up costing just a lot of money.
And can I just add one more time that I'm doing this by myself. I don't have, and she has her sister living with her that's helping her pay. She's got 3 people that are helping pay. I'm doing all this by myself. And I sometimes I get the small, like really small checks and I can barely pay anything. So it's just, all it's going to do is make it so I have to try to work more. And then that's going to be less time with me and my son just to try to keep up and survive. Like I paid Andrew a lot of money. I'm still actually paying that off to my work, because I borrowed all that money from my work. And so I'm paying all that off. I'm just trying to pay all this debt off so I can have some money to survive.
All right. Were there any temporary fees entered in this case? I didn't notice.
I do believe that Judge Scudder entered some fees at the last presentation hearing when we attempted to enter those final orders that we had reached an agreement, or I thought we had reached an agreement on, and I believe that was $500.
Yeah, it was $500. And I paid that right away because I know I missed the court date and everything, but like.
All right. Well, I think what I'm going to do in this case, there is a difference in incomes. It's not as significant as I typically see. Obviously some of this has to do with the fact I assume that Ms. Blondin was out of the case, which is not his fault, obviously. But there is still a difference of income, and had we come to this point after a trial, I would still likely order some fees. This is based on state law, sir. This has nothing to do with anything else. It's just we look at people's incomes, we make a decision based on, and if the situation were reversed, I'd be doing the same thing the other direction. So it's not anything other than that. I'm going to order $2,500 at this point. And that would be under the same terms that you've got in there. It is payable in 90 days. So you'll need to work in, you may contact, is he paying that through your office?
Yes, you can pay it through my office, and then if there's any funds that need to go to Ms. Bull, I can arrange that.
All right. So, and if you contact her, if you can't pay that all in 90 days, if you contact her, you're making good efforts, you probably can work out something. But in the meantime, I will order $2,500 in that.
So with those changes, Your Honor, I'll submit new final orders, parenting plan, and child support order with those changes.
Okay.
And I can do those today.
If you want to, I think these are all, if you can get those over today, we'll get them signed and entered. And like I said, I've already signed the child support order. I'll give that to Brooke right now.
So, excuse me, I have a question.
Yes,
so
sir.
the fact that I'm doing this by myself and they have 3 people paying, I still have to pay her. You can't put in an account her husband's income and all that stuff. I don't understand.
Well, I'm looking at what the state law tells me to do. I look at the 2 parties and your incomes that I'm dealing with regards to this case. Okay. And sir, it sounds like you 2 have worked through a lot of the issues that you had years ago, and I'm glad to hear that, because your interaction with your children or your child is really important to your child. It's important to you, but it's much more important to your child in the long term. So I really urge you to work your schedule so that you can maximize the time you've got under this schedule. Because again, that's in your kid's best interest.
Yeah, if I might say something, it's not me. It's the fact that I have a different girlfriend and his mom will not let me see him.
Okay. Well,
That's just how it is. That's how it's been since me and her been together. If she's around, my son cannot be around.
well, I didn't.
And that's how I feel. I feel like it should be
Yeah.
in the best
Hold on.
interest of the child. I'm not worried about her husband.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second, sir. Ms. Bliss, I didn't see any restrictions in the parenting plan as far as that.
There are none.
I'm sorry, there aren't.
There are none.
All right. So, and I'll give my lecture on these things is that absent there being a very good reason for not being in contact with another party, like girlfriend or boyfriend, then visitation needs to happen, assuming it's scheduled. So those get people into contempt all the time. So I would urge both of you to follow the plan. That's why it's there. And again, sir, hopefully what we're going to do is we're going to move forward from here, and you two are going to be able to work together, follow the plan, exercise as much of the time as you can. It's in your kid's best interest. And hopefully I won't see you back here. It's our goal. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll await some paperwork and then we'll get this taken care of.
Very good. Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, this is the clerk.
Yes.
I don't know, I apologize if I missed it, but I don't know that we've actually admitted Mrs. Bliss's exhibits. Are we admitting those or withdrawing them?
I'll admit those by stipulation for all of the exhibits, which were, I think there were 11 exhibits.
Correct.
And that was by stipulation. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Got to keep our record clean. And I assume everybody's agreeable to destroy any exhibits.
That is correct. I would just ask that if they were submitted with a binder, that those be put back in my box.
We'll stick it back in your box.
Very good. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you. And then for my clerk, I'll sign the order on the exhibits when I see you.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a great weekend.
All right. Last on the docket, I have Lowry and I should say Bull now and Schmidt. This is cause number 21-3-0006908 on for a motion for contempt. So I did review the motion, and sir, you are Bruno Schmidt, is that correct? Oh, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yes, correct.
All right, very good. So looks like you were served on the 15th, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So in this county, according to the local rules, there has to be essentially 3 weeks from the day you were served prior to the court hearing. So that means that the service is not sufficient for us to go forward today because you haven't had a sufficient opportunity to respond. You'll need to respond in writing to the court file with a copy to Ms. Bull. And you can mail that to the address that she put at the bottom of her pleadings. Let me just make sure there's an address there. Okay, there is. So on the documents you were served, in the bottom corner, there should be an address. You can send a copy of your response to that address. And then you also need to provide an original to the clerk's office to be filed. So that then the court can review your response to her allegation. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Thank you. And I just get that right here, the clerk's office right here.
The clerk's office does sell paperwork. You can also get the paperwork online at www.courts.wa.gov/forms. But if you Google Washington courts and forms, that should probably get you there as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set the next date between where we're going to actually hear this matter. So today is the 18th. Let's see. Okay. I can put this, let's put this out to June 8th. Go ahead, sir.
Would it be, could it be a little bit later than that? Because I have a job that I'm going to be at in Seattle that will be until the 10th.
Okay, June 15th. Ma'am, are you free on June 15th?
Yes, I am.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to set this over for review or a decision on June 15th. That's going to be at this same time at this same place. So the way that you both got to docket this morning virtually is the same way you'll get to the docket on the 15th. It's going to be again at the same time. Between now and then, so that we can resolve some of the issues that seem to be present though, is sir, if you're going to have anyone pick up the child that's not you, you need to provide a copy of their driver's license as well as their proof of vehicle insurance to Ms. Bull. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I did do that.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just, if you haven't done that previously, then make sure you do that prior to that June 15th hearing. Make sense?
And it can be anybody as long as they have a valid license and valid insurance.
Your parenting plan doesn't appear to have a limit on designees. It says they have to be known to the parties. The way you can make somebody known is to provide a copy of their driver's license.
Okay, that's fine.
Any questions from you, Ms. Bull?
Yeah, regarding the serving,
Mhm.
is it okay to serve him through email? Because I did try over it was about the 3-week period but he wasn't home, so
services specifically prescribed by law and by court rules, it depends on the documents that are being served. So some things can be served by mail and some things have to be served personally, meaning someone has to hand it one person to another. A contempt is an item that has to be served personally. So one person to another. So it could not have been served by email. It's appropriate that you had the sheriff serve it.
okay.
All right, very good. With that, any further questions from you, Ms. Bull?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bull, you were interrupted. Any questions from you? All
No.
right, very good. Any questions from you, sir?
If I have someone that was there throughout this whole situation with me, am I allowed to bring him in here to kind of?
No. So I want to be very clear. This is not a hearing where I take testimony. This is a hearing where everything you want to tell the court needs to be written down and needs to be provided in a written form with one copy going to the clerk's office or the originals to the clerk's office and a copy sent to Ms. Bull. So if you have witnesses, they can also provide declarations or affidavits to the court file for the court to review, but those have to be provided in advance. Don't file them the day of the hearing. It takes about a minimum of a week for those to be able to make it into the court's online system. So for the next judge to be able to review it, I want you to submit your response to her allegations no later than June 1st. That'll allow sufficient time for them to be in my online system so that I can review them or the next judicial officer can review them and we don't have to delay further.
Okay, thank you.
All right, very good. So with that, we'll see you both here June 15th at 9 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you both. You can go ahead and log off.
And then Colleen Lowry and Bruno Schmidt. I think Miss Lowry now goes by Miss Bull, is that right?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Schmidt is in one of our Zoom booths here at the courthouse. This is a motion for contempt, I believe by Ms. Lowry or Ms. Bull. So if you want to lead us off and explain to the court why you're asking for an order of contempt, and then I'll give Mr. Schmidt a chance to respond.
Sure. We had final orders that we both agreed on for the March 19th trial. And Bruno has not followed any of the stuff in the parenting plan that he has agreed on. Number one being the location of my son's phone, that it was to remain on. So I have all the dates for that. Also, it looks like on the, let's see, the April 14th through the 17th, he went with his girlfriend, which isn't a problem, but he is supposed to tell me about who is picking him up at least, but it's supposed to be in the desired 2 locations of pickup. Bruno had told me that he couldn't pick him up until Saturday, which his visits start Friday. And I have all of this in my messages. So if I need to provide the proof, I can. Anyway, he had Mason walk down to the skate park and have his girlfriend pick him up without me knowing. He had him shut off his location. He had him stop answering my phone calls. I actually went to go pick up Mason after work because Bruno was out of town in Seattle per his girlfriend. I have the police report for that. They wouldn't allow me to have him back. He also told my sister he wasn't keeping him for the extra day on Memorial Day when I was out of town. That followed on his 3rd day of Mason's non-school days. So on his visit, he didn't want him. He did end up having him. He did proceed to tell my sister that he was going to be quote unquote petty because he thinks that I am just out of town doing whatever I want. Let's see, he hasn't paid the $2,500 fine that he still owes for my lawyer fees. Also on June 5th, he had these response papers served to me by his nephew, which harassed me at work. And I had 4 different people actually tell him to leave and he wouldn't leave. And in the hospital where I work, there is no tolerance for personal service there. There is a spot where he could go in the hospital, but is for patient safety. I'm just kind of tired of Bruno doing what he wants and not taking this seriously. Also, Mason has a dentist appointment that he is going to be having a lipoma removed in his mouth. And Bruno refused that on June 11th, said that he already pays for child support. So he said, take it up in court, that he doesn't think he should have to pay for it, even though he's responsible for half of his medical bills. I'm tired of Bruno thinking that he can do what he wants when he agreed to this parenting plan. And it's on several occasions that I've had just numerous problems. He messages me saying that I am childish for sending him the driver's license and proof of insurance, which I did not request for our parenting plan for the picking up parent. But I still provide that to him and also my sisters who's picked Mason up as well. He hasn't provided me his girlfriend's proof of driver's license in that case or his, but they did provide proof of insurance. He's just refusing. And I just want structure and stability for my son.
I have a couple questions. Mr. Smith's declaration indicates that his girlfriend picked up Mason at school that day. Do you have other information?
Yeah. So actually that day it was April 14th.
April 14th, we're talking about.
Yeah. April 14th, Mason came home from school after Bruno stated that he wasn't going to get Mason until Saturday, the next day. Which
they indicate that she picked him up from school, brought him to the skate park. He needed a helmet, so he walked home at that point.
Can I say something?
Not yet.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, if they want to provide proof from the school, that's fine. But I have cameras at my house and I show Mason on video coming in my house twice, 2 different times. My sister's seen him at this skate park that's right down the road. Asked him if he was supposed to be with his dad, and he said he wasn't sure. Nobody told him anything. So that's when my sister drove him back up to get him his helmet. And then he pursued to go back down because I allow him to go down to the skate park. I was at work at the time, so Bruno never told me nobody was going to pick him up. And I also get bad reception at the hospital. I do have to say that. So that if I don't know about his girlfriend picking him up. I have the times. He was picked up at 4:35 at the skate park. I guess by his girlfriend. Again, I don't have a problem with her. It states in our paperwork that any designee known to Mason can pick up Mason as long as they have proof of driver's license and insurance. But again, all this was not to my knowledge. I just known that the last thing that I had known was Bruno couldn't get him. I said, you're going to have to wait till your next scheduled visit. Your visit starts Friday. So
Why did you take that position?
For what?
Well, when you said I can't get there until Saturday.
He asked.
Let me finish my question so the record is clear.
Sure.
When he said I can't get there till Saturday, you said, well, then you're gonna miss your visit and you have to wait for your next visit. What provision of the parenting plan allows you to cancel his visit if he's not on time?
Well, I wasn't sure. Sorry about that. Let me explain. I wasn't sure. Bruno has not been consistent with his scheduling. So when he had asked me, hey, I'm going to pick up Mason tomorrow, I don't think that's appropriate. And then in my parenting plan, it says that I don't have to allow him makeup time because this has been such an ongoing, inconsistent thing with Bruno.
Okay. Mr. Smith has indicated that he has provided his girlfriend's insurance information to you. Is that correct?
Yes, the insurance. And I believe that Bruno's on there as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. You may respond.
Okay. So on that day, on the 14th, I think it was, I just got done with work and I messaged her and I said, I'm on my way home because I realized that like I'm going to be a little bit late. So I told her it would be okay if she picked him up from school. And I didn't say Saturday, I would get him Saturday. I said, I will pick him up as soon as I get home. Cause I was about almost to like past Olympia, almost getting to Chehalis area. And I told her I would pick him up from you right as soon as I get home. And she said that that's not going to work. And if I'm not going to pick him up right at 3:20 or 3:25 from school, then I'm going to forfeit. And she said that she was going to bring up to the judge that I'm not being consistent and I don't want visitation. And I said, I will come get him. I'm going to be a little bit late. And she said, it's not going to work. So you're going to have to forfeit this week and see him on your next visitation. And then so I told her I will have someone pick him up. I mean, I will have him picked up at school. And she says, you have to pick him up or you have to forfeit your weekend. And then I called my girlfriend and I told her she needs to be there and she has to pick him up from school. He can't walk anywhere. He can't do anything. It has to be from school. And she said, okay. And so she waited over there. She even got there early and she waited there and her daughter both picked my son up from school. And then he called me and he says, hey, Dad, can I go to the skate park for a little bit? And I said, yeah, that's fine. So he went to the skate park. My girlfriend dropped him off at the skate park. And there's a park, like a kids play park right above from the skate park. And that's where my girlfriend stayed. She stayed there. And then she said she went and got them ice cream and some water. And then she went right back to that park. Okay. And then she called me and said, I called her and I said, you got to go get Mason because his sister, his aunt's coming to get him.
Just a minute, there's a bit of a gap here. Your girlfriend is watching him. And then she left to go get something to drink. And Mason had to be gone when she got back.
Yeah, so that's what happened. Okay, so she said she dropped him off and then they went to get some something to drink and some ice cream and stuff. And then he said he was walking up to
They is not right. She went.
Yeah, she went.
Mason did not go with her.
Yeah. So my girlfriend and her daughter, they went to go get drinks. She dropped him off at the skate park.
All right.
Drinks and then she came back up and I guess Mason walked up to his mom's to get a helmet and then that's when she seen him on the camera. So and then Queen said that her sister
I'm just imagining here your girlfriend coming back with the ice cream and Mason not being at the skate park. What was her reaction to that?
I told her I told her she needed to get him. Man, I'm okay. Let's see.
Well, how did you know he went anywhere?
Because Queen messaged me and said, I seen him on the camera. He walked home from school. And I said he didn't walk home from school. And then she said, yeah, he did. I seen him on my camera. And then he went up there to grab a helmet.
All right.
And
So you were then aware that he went home.
Huh?
You were aware when you got that message that he went home.
Yeah, and my girlfriend said that he said he was gonna go up and get a helmet. And she said, yeah, that's fine. You can go get a helmet. Because he said he didn't want his mom or his aunt to see him and then tell his mom that he didn't have a helmet and then he'd get in trouble for being over there.
All right. So then your girlfriend went to the house and picked him up again?
No. She went to the she was right up, there's a skate park and then there's a park. And she was sitting there. And I told her, you have to go get him because his mom said that her sister was gonna go get him. And so I told my girlfriend to go get him and go home.
So where did she go to get him?
At the skate park, because there's a park literally right above the skate park.
Okay,
and
so he went home and got his helmet and went back to the skate park.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And then I found out that from his mom that her sister was gonna go get him because I didn't do it right. And she said that he walked home from school and he never did. So I told my girlfriend to go get him and go home. And then her sister followed her home. And then I was on the phone with my girlfriend when this was happening and said, her sister is here. And then Queen ended up showing up and she said that she walked up to my house and tried to open my door and kept shaking the door to try to get in. And then I seen her on my camera and I told her she has to get off my property and then wait. And then she said, the cops are coming. And I said, that's fine. When the cops come, I'll talk to them and we can try to figure this out because I was still on my way home. And then she said that she's calling, the cops are coming and she's going to get him. And the only reason I told Mason not to answer her phone call is because he called me and he was crying. And my girlfriend said he went and hid in the closet because he was scared. And she said that he was shaking. He wouldn't stop crying and he didn't know what was going to happen, but he wanted to spend time with me. And it was my weekend. So then she had the cops ended up calling me. I gave the police officers my number over the phone. And she called me and asked me if it's my weekend and if I give my girlfriend if it's okay for her to watch him. And I said, that's fine. And I'm on my way home. And then she said, okay, so we're not going to take him out. But the reason my son called me and he was frantic. He was freaking out and he was scared. So I said, don't answer your mom's call until I get there. And then we can try to figure this out.
What was he afraid about?
Because he said his mom gets really mean with him. And he gets afraid of her. And he was afraid and he didn't want to lose the time with me and him. And he was afraid that he was going to have to. So my girlfriend said he literally went upstairs my house and hid in the closet.
Have there been other times when you missed picking up your son and thereby lost a weekend with him?
No, I haven't. I haven't done that. Like since we did this, the parenting plan was over and figured out. I haven't missed a single weekend. I've picked him up every single weekend. I've even taken some time off work and told him I can't work this weekend because I have my son. So that her saying that I'm inconsistent and all that is like before all this parenting stuff got finalized, there was some times where my job was really busy and sometimes, but since it was finalized, I haven't missed a single weekend.
Am I allowed to respond to that?
You are, but just a moment here.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Smith?
Yeah, and I got something to say because I told her if, like, since I pay her the child support, it's to cover, and I have him on my medical. I pay for his medical and everything. That's the only. I didn't say I refuse to do it. I said you can bring it up in court, but I feel like me paying the child support and him being on my medical and stuff, that should be my part of it. And I said that if you want to bring it up in court, you can, and then we can figure that out. I didn't say I refuse to do it. I just said this is how I feel.
What do you mean should be your part of it? I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I don't know. She says that he's getting a lipoma removed, and she said that I'm paying half of it. And I on my medical, and I pay you child support, so I don't feel like I should have to do any more than that. But if the judge says it, and then that's how it is, then I guess I have no choice. But I didn't tell her I refuse to do it. I'm not doing it. I said, if you can bring it up in court and then we can figure it out in court. But with me paying the 2 things I do and him and being on my medical, I didn't feel like that was.
Well, I don't know if it fits in this category, but typically, the uninsured medical expenses, if that's an uninsured medical expense, is paid under some formula. Let's see here. I'm looking at the child support order, so let me just give me a moment here.
Okay.
So it calls for uninsured medical expenses are paid according to your proportional share, which would be in the child support worksheets. And that would be your share, that would be 0.562. So I don't know if what she's talking about is covered by insurance or not, but if it's not, then you do have an obligation to pay a portion of it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's why I said we'll figure it out in court and see what happens. I didn't, and as of her lawyer fees, I don't just have $2,500. I've been in touch with her lawyer and I'm going to do payments, but I don't have $2,500 just to give her. So I did talk to her lawyer and she said I can do payments, but
Have you started those payments?
I just got paid today.
Okay.
My account was negative as of like last week. So.
All right. Well, if you're going to make payments, then you need to be consistent with the payment plan. All right.
Okay.
Ms. Bull, you do have a chance to respond, please.
Okay, I do have to say the medical on Bruno's insurance, Mason hasn't spent quote unquote $10,000 for a deductible, so that falls underneath of why we have to pay out of pocket. And they did say that's an estimate. They did give me an estimate amount, but they can't tell me a final number, a total, until after the procedure. So that's why I had brought that up. Also, for Bruno saying that he had said that he let me know that somebody was going to pick him up. He did not. Like I said, I do work at the hospital. I don't have the best reception there, but there is other ways to get a hold of me. I do have all of this proof of in my text messages from Bruno, if you would like me to provide all of it. He has missed his, I believe, one visit, and that's also in my text messaging, saying that he did miss a visit. He had to work. As far as me going to Bruno's house, there was the big misunderstanding of me thinking that he just had somebody, his girlfriend, just pick up Mason, and without letting me know. I actually spoke to her on the phone. I said, hey, I don't know what's going on. Take my son home. As for Mason being scared of me, I've never heard of that in my life. I don't understand that. What he had told me, and as well as my sister on 2 different occasions, is that he was told to not answer my phone and go upstairs and go hide when I got there to pick him up. That's exactly what he told, like I said, me and my sister. I don't punish Mason, and I don't understand why Bruno would say that he would be afraid of me. I have a very structured home. That just kind of blows me away. I'm not sure, but like I said, if Bruno would have made sure to tell me, hey, I have somebody to pick him up, fine. That's okay. Even if he's not there, that's a designee. And I understand that.
All right.
Can I respond to that, please?
Go ahead.
No, I did message her and I told her he's gonna get picked up. I messaged her so she can show your messages. I did tell her he's gonna get picked up, so you don't have to worry about it.
You didn't say who was gonna pick him up though.
Okay. I didn't think that like mattered, like who, because I figured she was not gonna let her do it. That's what that, because she does not like her. She's telling you right now she's okay with her, but I've got messages of her saying racial stuff to her, calling her fat and all this stuff. So she does not like my girlfriend at all. So, and I didn't want to lose my visitation with my son. So on that part, yeah, I probably didn't do it. But I told her he's gonna get picked up and she does have a license and she does have insurance. And I thought I did send her both of our licenses because I took a picture and sent it, but maybe it didn't go through. I'll send it today. But I thought I sent it both with the insurance and everything, but I guess I didn't do that. But my son did not, he tells me all the time that he does not want to be at home with her. He's not going to tell her because he has to be at home with her. He's going to tell me, and he opens up to me. And he did not get forced to go up in the closet. My girlfriend said, I was on the phone with him and she's like, Mason, come down here. And he didn't want to come down. So her saying that's why my son is afraid of her. That's why he says what she wants to hear. That's my opinion, because he was on the phone with me and he was freaking out. He's like, I don't know what to do, Dad. I was like, I don't want to lose time with you, but I'm scared. And then that's when he got off the phone with me and he went upstairs. And I said, just stop answering the phone until I get home, and then I can talk to your mom if she's still there, and we can try to figure this out.
You see your son every other weekend, is that right?
Correct. I asked for more time and she told me no, because I had I don't remember the exact date, but my boss gave me Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. And I messaged her and I said, hey, I'll give him some more. I'll get him some more this week. And then she messages me and says, I didn't pay all this money for you to effing ask for more time. So take what you're given and don't ask for more. And I have that text message too. And I just said, I just want to see him more this weekend because I have these days off and I could just spend more time with him. And she said, that's not how it works. And you're not going to get what you want.
Would like him to provide that proof because I have never told him that. I actually fought for 2 years for a parenting plan. I did give him every other week and weekend when we first started. He said it was too much. So this is when the every other weekend started. Yes, he did ask for Thursday through Sunday, but that fell on Mason's school day. So I just figured weekends would work out better so he wouldn't go back and forth from house to house through the school days. So that was already adjusted in the final orders that he agreed on.
All right, I'm not going to revisit the final orders here. We need to talk about April 14th.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
At the beginning, both times that Ms. Bull has indicated that Mr. Smith's been late or, called because he was going to be late, it was because he was working. And to me, that's significant. I mean, it's not like he's doing something else other than earning money so he can pay child support. And anyway, so what happened on April 14th, it appears from everything I've looked at, is Mr. Smith was working. He got caught a little bit late. He was supposed to pick up his son, I think, after school. He was going to be a couple hours later than that. He called Ms. Bull, indicated he was going to be late, and asked her to take Mason for a couple hours till he could get there. Ms. Bull took the position that if he's not on time, then he loses that entire weekend. I want to say clearly that is an unacceptable position. It's not supported by the parenting plan. And if it's ever brought to my attention that you take that position again, then I'm going to start changing the parenting plan to give Mr. Smith more time. You cannot deny him his weekend just because he's a couple hours late, because he's working so he can pay child support. All right?
I understand that. I just
Don't interrupt me.
Okay.
I'm giving the decision. So Ms. Bull refused to do that. That put the father in a position where he had to pick up Mason. Somehow Mason picked up that if Ms. Bull was taking the position, he would lose the visitation with the dad. That meant that Mason wouldn't see his dad for a month under the every other weekend visitation. So Mr. Schmidt arranged for his girlfriend to pick up Mason. I find as a fact that the girlfriend did pick up Mason from school, took him to the skate park. I am very concerned that while he was at the skate park, the girlfriend left. I think if that ever happens again, if it's not a parent, the person has to stay with him. To let him just leave. I understand, you know, it appears that he does have the ability to walk between the skate park and home. But when I read through the file and, you know, understood the girlfriend just left him there, I was very concerned about that. Anyway, Mason walked home to get his helmet. That looked like he had walked home from school. I understand Ms. Bull's reaction to that. But I'm going to find that he was picked up at school, brought to the skate park, went home, got his helmet, went back to the skate park, reconnected with the girlfriend, and then somehow all of this moves to Mr. Smith's house. It appeared Ms. Bull was still claiming that Mason could not be with the girlfriend and wanted to pick him up and cancel visitation for that weekend. Police were called, and by the time Mr. Smith got there, he indicated it was his weekend and they left Mason with him. I'm very concerned that both parents put Mason in the middle of this, and Mason sounds like a sensitive guy, and you really need to take steps in the future to not put Mason in the middle. The parenting plan specifically allows designees to pick up Mason. And so if the girlfriend picked him up, that was certainly within the concept of the parenting plan. There's nothing, as I said, in the parenting plan that allows a parent to cancel visitation if the other parent is late. Based on that, I'm not going to find there's contempt. I'm going to encourage both parents to first not put Mason in the middle. If Mr. Smith, if you're going to be late, then you probably need to figure out who's going to pick up Mason instead of you and let Ms. Bull know.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. And Ms. Bull, again, designees are allowed, and you're not allowed to cancel visitation because Mr. Smith might be late. Any questions, Mr. Smith?
Nope, that's it for me. Thank you.
Ms. Bull, any questions?
Yeah, I do. I guess I kind of misunderstood the final orders of me not allowing him makeup time. If he does miss his visit, here I am still at work thinking that he is trying to get him on Saturday. So that was where the miscommunication was.
How is that makeup time if it's his weekend? That's not adding any time.
I guess this is new to me, so I wasn't sure. Like I said, if he had let me know that somebody is picking him up, again, I don't have a problem with his girlfriend. I'm not going to take away visits. I guess that he just needs to make it clear to me somebody's going to pick him up. And it does state in our paperwork that they can pick him up at my house or school. So as far as the location turning off, I do want to mention that Bruno has consistently turned the location off on Mason's phone. That is a safety issue for me. When I got Mason his phone, I did put an app on his phone. That's the reason why I got him a phone, is so he can go down the skate park and I know where he's at all times. So that was our agreement, is if I give you a phone, you cannot turn off your location. So Bruno has done this several times. I have all the dates. I have
Morning, Ramen.
screenshots. I have all of it. So as far as that, I mean, where do we go from there?
Mr. Smith, what's your position on the phone?
Okay, so I have I understand what she's saying, but for his safety and all that, when he's with her, I understand that. But with me, what she does is I didn't even know she had the app or he had the app until she messaged me like out of nowhere. Like I was in a 35-mile-an-hour and I was going a little over 35. And she messages me and she's like, "You're going unsafe speeds with my child. You need to slow down." And I was going like maybe like 38 miles an hour. And she's like, "You need to not be going that fast with my son." And I was like, "How the heck? How do you know what I'm doing anyways?" But I'm being safe with him. He's got a seatbelt on. I'm going, yeah, a couple miles an hour over. And then I had him one weekend where me and my girlfriend's daughter and him, we were just having like a little movie night with each other. And then like midnight, we got hungry. We went to Taco Bell, and I was just went to Taco Bell, and then we went straight home. And she messages me, and she says, "Why is my son out at midnight? This is unsafe, and you're an unfit parent, and this is not responsible." And I was like, "What do you mean? We're getting Taco Bell, and then we're going home." So this is why I don't want the location on. When he's with her, and he goes down to the skate park by himself, that is understandable. But she is tracking everything I do, and it's constantly, "I'm going to report this to the judge. I'm going to report this to the judge. You're doing this. You're being unsafe with my child." And I don't think that's, to me, I think that's stalking. That's borderline stalking me because,
I
like,
do not
yeah, I didn't
I would
interrupt. I didn't interrupt you.
like that provided because I do not do that.
Just a minute. Let's let Mr. Smith finish. Are you finished?
Yeah, that's it. That's the only reason why I don't want the location on him when he's with me, because I keep him safe. And if anything happens to him, I call her and I let her know, "Hey, you need to meet me here. This happened." So it's not, I'm just gonna not tell her what happened. But she just wants to track everything I'm doing.
Ms. Bull?
Actually, I do not anymore. I did in the past, actually twice. But since, like I said, the final orders with that, I don't check on him when he goes to his dad's. It does notify me when his location is off, and it does notify me with driving speeds. But again, I don't, after final orders, I haven't said anything about his driving, his time being home, nothing. I just ask that he respects the parenting plan.
Has this occurred since the parenting plan went into effect?
Her saying anything? Well, because I turn it off. As soon as I pick him up from school, I have him turn it off. Because I don't think, I even talked to the sheriff and he said that's borderline stalking. So because like I understand when he's with her, or if like if I had the thing like, "Hey, yeah, you can stay here at the skate park for a little bit. I don't mind," you know? And then like I need to know where you're at, or if he wants to go hang out with his friends, I need to know where you're at. But when he's with me, he's in my care and I'm taking care of him and I'm making sure he's safe. I don't think she needs to know exactly where he's at. When he's with her, I'm not constantly like, what's he doing? Is he doing this? Is he doing that? Or where's he at? Or are you driving the speed? I trust her to take care of him. So I don't ask for a location for me or to know where he's at. So I feel like when if he's with me, I only get him for the weekend. It should just be up to me to keep him safe and not her to have to constantly know what I'm doing or where I'm at.
All right, well, looking at the parenting plan, and it says the residential parent shall ensure the child has his location turned on his cell phone in both households. I think that needs to be complied with.
Okay.
And Ms. Bull, you can't use it as Mr. Smith is claiming as a way to stalk him. But the parenting plan does require it, so it needs to stay on.
Okay.
Why don't you both take your parenting plan out in the next couple of days and read the whole thing? I think that might answer a lot of questions going forward. Again, I hope you don't put Mason in the middle of any disagreements that you have. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. I think that's it.
Yep.
I'm going to deny your motion.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Do I gotta do anything, or do you just get off?